Clark from Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. A lot of Canadian questions here. What do you think was the Flair Steamboat of the WWE? RVD against Jerry Lynn, I think, was the Flair Steamboat of the original ECW, but what do you think was the Flair Steamboat of WWE? I was thinking about this for a little bit after I got the question, because it wasn't really an easy one to answer. I think Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels could have been the Flair Steamboat of WWE. But they actually didn't work together as much as you would think. Austin and Rock is the choice that Clark gave in his email. It's not a bad choice. It's that one rivalry that comes to define a certain period of time. Flair Steamboat did that for WCW in 89. Flair and Steamboat's characters were polar opposites. Flair, right, he was the ladies' man, always out on the town, buying expensive watches and shoes and suits, talking about his $5,000 Rolexes and riding Space Mountain and limousines and blah, blah, blah. Steamboat was the family man who wasn't into that wild lifestyle. The Austin and Rock characters were also polar opposites. Austin was the everyman who wore jean shorts and a t-shirt to the ring, or, black boots and black trunks. Rock would walk out for a promo with his $3,000 silk shirt. So, two very different characters. You know what would get my vote, though? More than Austin Rock, what I would give my vote to is the Flair Steamboat of WWE, honestly. John Cena and CM Punk. The matches they had in 2011, right up to the last match they had in 2013. I'm not saying that Cena and Punk were technically as good in the ring as Flair and Steamboat, but just the matches they had were great. And again, two very polar opposite characters, two very polar opposite people. But they had incredible matches together, and it just worked. And especially the Money in the Bank match in Chicago, it was just magic. And Flair and Steamboat, right, with their famous match in Chicago, Chi-Town Rumble. Cena and Punk had a famous match in Chicago as well. So I would make the parallels more with Cena and Punk than I would Austin Rock. But Austin Rock is not a bad choice. I think that also works. Mike from New Boston, New Hampshire. Looking back at the aggression era, well, it was ruthlessness as well. One of the guys I think WWE dropped the ball on was Sean O'Haire. He had the size and look of a big star. Do you think he would have had the career Batista had if it was him in Evolution instead? No, I don't. He was a hothead. He had multiple arrests over the years for assault, going back even before he joined WCW. WWE probably dodged a bullet not having him in Evolution. I mean, look, it's sad the way he ended his life. He had a lot of talent, but I think his push would have ended badly for the company. I think he probably would have derailed it himself. So no, I don't think he would have had the run that Batista had. Daniel from Hamburg. How do you think a feud between a rookie Brock Lesnar with the NWO in 2002 would have worked? Imagine if Lesnar had been the reason storyline-wise that Scott Hall was gone, and if he had squashed Kevin Nash in a match. Lesnar then at the end would have beaten Hulk Hogan like he did, maybe even at Survivor Series as well, which was the original plan, but Hogan did not want to job twice. No, you're right about that. Actually, the story is that Hogan wanted his win back over Brock at Madison Square Garden at Survivor Series. That's how delusional Hogan was at that point. Anyway, he says this would have had an even bigger impact for Brock than he already had that year. Sure, you could do that if the goal was to just completely squash and bury and castrate the NWO and kill it off completely, then sure, yeah, they could have done that. I disagree with your assertion that it would have been an even bigger deal for Brock than what they ended up doing. No, it wouldn't have. Nope. Brock did beat Hulk Hogan. And he also beat Ric Flair. And he beat The Undertaker. And he beat The Rock that year to win the undisputed title. That was a much bigger deal than beating the three old guys who just came back to the company. What they did with Brock meant far more than beating the NWO in 2002, considering the NWO in 2002 didn't mean much anyway. But even if they tried harder with them and didn't split them up as quickly as they did in 2002, and Brock had to, go through Hall and then Nash and then Hogan, it still would not have meant as much as what they ended up doing with Brock. Brock had probably the best rookie year of anybody in the history of that company. You know, Kurt Angle is up there. Ronda Rousey is up there. There have been some great rookie years. None better than the one that Brock Lesnar had in 2002. So how can I sit here and say that, oh, well, if they would have done this and he beat the NWO guys one by one, that would have been bigger. No, he already beat Hulk Hogan. He put Hulk Hogan down in a bear hug on television. So he got the one and only win that he needed over Hogan. And then the title win over Rock was just the cherry on top. Can't beat that. Best rookie year ever.